good week for crochet finishes. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. This is episode 064, and today I am going to just share all of my creative crochet projects that I've been working on and finishing this week. This has been a week of finishes, and I'm really happy about that because that means I can start some new projects. So let's get to the big one first. I finally finished weaving in all of my ends on my fall to winter sweater, and I'm going to put in some footage right here of me modeling it. What a labor of love this has been, but I absolutely love it. I think it looks great over jeans, it looks great over skirts, it hits at just the right place on me. I love how I did a very narrow cuff. I love how I did the waistband. I love that I did just a very narrow little single crochet around the top here to give it some shape. I love that I followed my instincts rather than the pattern itself and made it fit me in a way that I would be happy with. It was even worth weaving in all those ends. I did indeed weave them in the old-fashioned way. I did them properly. The fabric that it created was just so wonderful. And even though it's still a block stitch, even though it's kind of holey, I could still wear this without having to have something really thick underneath. It's still quite modest, believe it or not. Even the yarn itself, it has this wonderful kind of stretch and bounce to it. I don't really know how to explain it. It was the perfect yarn, the perfect project, and I'm so glad it's done. I've already worn this a couple of times already, and I'm so glad that I'll have it as the weather starts to warm up. It is that perfect transitional piece. Using the extra yarn from that, I did finish my Granny Fanny bag. And this one, I didn't do the strap to it. I started to make the zipper into a strap, and then I just thought, you know what, we'll just leave it almost as a tag. It is unlined. To attach the zipper, I threaded my black yarn onto a kind of a sharp yarn needle, and I did a blanket stitch around, and then I single crocheted kind of into that blanket stitch and in along the top edge of the bag. And I did have to do some like single crochet two together to make it all work. I really did fudge it, but I love it as kind of a little notions pouch or as like a purse essentials that I can throw into a bigger bag. So happy to have that one done as well. Something else I was working on last week was a Lakeside beanie, and it is completely done. You see how it fits. It is so thick. It's almost like having an ear warmer with a little hat on top. So this is one that I had made, loved it, ended up giving it to a friend, and so I got to remake the pattern for myself. It is such a wonderful, easy pattern to do, but you have to love front post and back post double crochets. In holding two yarns together for this, and if you need more details on that, you can check my previous video, but in holding two yarns together, it did make it a little extra thick, but that's just how I like it. It's still super soft, it's still wonderful, it's still warm, and having that extra kind of pink pop in it, you don't really notice it, it's pretty subtle, but that almondy color just gets the littlest bit of pink here and there as it follows the colors of that sock yarn, that Premier cotton collage. So that was worked in all the way through. Happy days that one is done too. All right, so one more little finish for this week. I did make a final frog. This one had to be made because its sibling did finally go in the mail, and hopefully that has been received by now. I haven't heard word whether or not it's been picked up or not. Hopefully so, because it should have arrived this weekend. I put a couple of kind of happy mails in to someone very special, and normally that person will let me know if they get something. I didn't warn them that anything was on the way. I also took a little bit of video of that, so I'll drop it here now. This is the basic little frog by Complicated Knots. As you've heard me say so many times, I love that project. I don't know what else to say, but happy days with my frog going up there. So Leapfrog Mal 2024. I know I'm not in sync with the other ladies that are doing that, but that's okay. I'm just tacking it on these crochet podcast type videos. Okay. All right. Okay. Lanthier shawl. This is the last thing that I already had in progress the last several weeks. I'm not yet done, but I'm getting really close. This is coming out so beautifully. that pin there shows how far I've come this week. So several rows there. And I am going to finish this one out. I'm going to finish one more stitch repeat, and you do the edging at the end of the second granny row. So I'm going to finish this out. I'm going to do the solid piece and then the 2 granny rows, and then I'll do the edging, and then I'll be done. So I have more than enough yarn to finish it out, and then it's going to block really beautifully. I actually do have a 4th hank of this yarn. I thought I only had 3, but I have 4. It won't be necessary for this particular shawl, but I'll have more than enough if I want to put some tassels on or anything like that. But again, this is 100% wool. It is the Rainbow Beach by Queensland, and it will block really beautifully. I've been using a size J, a 6.0 millimeter hook on this, and I think that was such the right choice. So yay, you can see all the variegation in the blues there. It's gonna be so pretty. It's gonna be so pretty. It's gonna be so great and versatile with jeans, with basic outfits to just kind of dress it up. And again, that transition between spring and winter, it's gonna be amazing. I'm excited about it. 2 last projects. One of them I started yesterday, and it is one more entry into the Leapfrog Mal. You might recognize this if you know anything about Hobbii or what they came out with around Christmas. The designer Pica Pau came out with some wonderful amigurumis, and this one is Oliver Frog. Ta-da! So you can see already I've made some changes. Oliver has some little Christmas tree prints on his shirt, and I opted to figure out a big old red heart. I am a big fan of Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls. I grew up with those. My mother used to make them. And so on this particular frog, I thought he needed a Raggedy Ann and Andy heart. So that's what we're going with rather than the Christmas trees. Very slow going on this. I am using I Love This Cotton predominantly in the color olive. And I am using my 4.25 millimeter hook. It's a size G hook. It's working for me for now. It's just quite slow going. I'm proud of myself that I've gotten this far, and I've only been working on it a day or so. But I am gonna have to kind of build up some resistance on my fingers because, oh my goodness, that thumb grip, I just have that indentation there almost like the whole time. But the great thing about doing a project like this is I can vary it up with like a larger shawl or other pieces so that I don't get too weary of having that thumb grip press onto my fingers. Now, I have been wanting to do this frog for a while. It's going to a very specific recipient, and I know the name of this frog too. It's not going to be named Oliver because he's not a frog. He's a toad. So he's gonna have a different name than Oliver Frog. This is the first time I've ever used a Pica Pau pattern. This is probably the largest amigurumi I've ever made. I do have 3 more on the docket that I want to get to. I don't ever think I'll turn to amigurumi as kind of my first love, but there are things that I do want to make and I've been asked to make, so I'm gonna do it. And it's good to stretch myself outside of just my standard hats and shawls and sweaters and wearables and that kind of thing. So Oliver Frog, very happy that I've started work on him. And as I'm making him, I am thinking of the person that will receive this and knowing that there will be such joy and such appreciation. I can cue the tears already. So, so it is a joy to be working on him. I do have another project that I started, and by started, I mean I did a gauge swatch. The pattern that I've chosen is the Up and Down Pullover by I Need It Crochet. She definitely recommends doing a gauge swatch, and I'm very glad that I did. It's gonna be a V-neck sweater, super cute. I'm using my size I vintage boy hook, and I am using Lion Brand Wool Ease in the color Linen. So very happy to have the gauge here. In the pattern, even though it calls for a worsted weight yarn, which is what this is, the worsted weight in the pattern is kind of a lighter weight. So she was very intentional about talking about working up a gauge. Rather than try to modify my tension, I'm going to modify the stitch count. So I have my swatch. It's supposed to be about 4 inches, and this one ends up about 4.5. So I will just reduce the stitches accordingly. I'll do that little bit of math and hopefully get the size that I want. I am excited because having just a beautiful, creamy, neutral that's kind of on like the gray side of a neutral. This is going to be a beautiful thing to have in my winter wardrobe, even though we're moving towards spring, but it'll be wonderful to have come next year when I need to pull it out. And the fact that it has a little bit of wool in it, and yet it's mostly acrylic, it's a workhorse yarn, it's a tried and true yarn. It's one of my all-time favorites, just all-time favorites. I've never had anything predominantly made out of this. I've done hats, I've done scarves, but this is the first time I'm really working up something larger in this. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited to start a new sweater, and I think it's going to go a lot faster than the last one just because there won't be 14 bazillion ends to weave in. Yeah, it's going to be a great joy. So I'm excited to start working on that. So goals are finish the shawl, continue working on Zifroggy, and then really get some headway made on this particular sweater. There's one other thing that I have been working on this week, and that is actually something I'm doing with my neighbors. We are going to be getting together and I'm going to be teaching them to crochet. I'll actually have a dedicated video all about that, but this week I have been working on some samples for them. So that's one little thing in the background that I've also been crocheting. I'm going to tag this on just because it's yarny and podcasty related adjacent. A bit ago, I won a giveaway from Marsha over at Mimi Makes Keepsakes. She hit a milestone with her channel and she had a giveaway, and I was so shocked to win. This is the first time I've ever won a giveaway like this, but it was a giveaway to Etsy. I finally decided I'm just gonna get some more of my favorite vintage crochet hooks. My favorite right now is a size I or a size J, a 5.5 millimeter or a 6.0 millimeter. Just because my tension is pretty tight. So those bigger hook sizes tend to be what I go towards. I chose the Boy brand because my absolute favorite hook is this vintage Boy size I. And this one, it says size I USA. It's the kind of matte finish. So I thought, let me go ahead and get some more of those. So I decided to get a size J, another size I, and a size H. These were hooks that I thought would really benefit being in my collection, that I would go to them time and time again. And I'm actually creating a dedicated video looking at these hooks specifically and comparing them to the newer Boy hooks that are currently available, some of them that I sourced for that neighbors crochet get together that we're doing. So be on the lookout for that too. I do love just taking a closer look at some of these hooks, and hopefully that will inform you guys when you're trying to make decisions on, is something worth the higher price because it's vintage, and also kind of what are the differences between what's available right now and what you might have to pay a little bit more of a premium for. The other thing I got this week was actually from the library. I put in a purchase request for Animal Friends of Pica Pau, and oh my goodness, I can't wait to get into this. I have decided which animal I'm going to do. This is one of the amigurumis that is among the 3 that I have that I want to do in the near future. I decided which one I'm going to do, and I've already decided what I'm going to rename it, and I've just been pondering other ways to modify. I had this book for a good 3.5 weeks. We'll see. Happy to have it. So thankful to my wonderful library for taking requests, and that since I requested it, I got to be the first one to check it out now that it has arrived. So that is my week in crochet. Lots of finishes, lots of excitement coming up. I'm really looking forward to using my new hooks more. I'm looking forward to spending some time with my neighbors and teaching them some crochet. Looking forward to starting a new sweater, finishing a shawl. It's gonna be so good. Y'all, crochet just makes my heart so happy, and I'm so thankful that you're here, that I can share it with you. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Just any ways that you've supported this channel. It has been such a joy. And if you had asked me this time last year if I would have a crochet channel, I would have said, probably not. But I love how life is. You can look back a year in your life and you're like, how did I get to this point? This is amazing and this is wonderful. I've met the most phenomenal humans just through interfacing with you guys, and I certainly do appreciate you. So thank you so much. You are a joy, and it makes the world a difference that I have some yarny people I can just hang out with. So thank you. All right, and if I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I truly do appreciate you. I know I say the same thing every week. I truly do appreciate you. and I hope I will see you again soon. Bye.